So on this tablet, it commemorates Jamaica's achievement of independence, but Jamaica is not independent. That's the fraudulent thing. Oh my God, they need to free up the people then, man. I wanted to come and see the Sam Sharp Square and find out some more information. So we have Sam Sharp, who was enslaved, unfortunately, and he was owned by Samuel Sharp. Oh, so is this not his name? Okay. So I came here yesterday and I wanted to find out more information about Sam Sharp. I remember this square a long time ago. I just never knew what it was in regards to. So we have Sam Sharp. I'm reading it and I'm like, okay, now, like, he was owned by Samuel Sharp. So does this even mean that that's not even his name? Like, what is that? What is that? But anyway, in 1831, Sharp organized a passive resistance movement against slavery in St. James, Trelawney and Westmoreland by demanding pay for work done. Set to begin during Christmas, the strike turned into an armed rebellion. The uprising was savagely suppressed by the English, and hundreds of enslaved people were courts tried and executed in Montego Bay Marketplace on May 23rd. However, the widespread nature and seriousness of the rebellion convinced the British government that the time had come to end enslavement. They say he didn't die in vain, but I think everyone did. Like, why are we dying to end slavery? That made no sense. But in recognition of his fight for freedom, Sam Sharp has been declared one of Jamaica's national heroes. The monument is dedicated to Sam Sharp, national hero, and shows him preaching to his people. See, and now this is a next sticky situation, because back in the day they said they would send one who could read and write to preach. So I don't know, things are adding up, but I kind of want to find out more about that, honestly. So for those that don't know, Jamaica was Jamaica back in the day. The coming of the Spanish, it says here, Columbus sailed into the harbour of Montego Bay on May 9th, 1494 during his second voyage to the Americas. So to me that says like America wasn't even called America, there was like a people. Oh, look at this. During his second, so he'd already known about this place, and then he had to go back and tell his people to come back to peep it, to pre the thing. 5 days earlier, Columbus had landed in Jamaica for the first time. 5 days earlier, Columbus had landed in Jamaica for the first time. It is believed this was at a place called Puerto Bueno, the modern day Discovery Bay. Columbus did not receive a warm reception in Jamaica when he arrived. 10 warriors threatened him and his men and tried to drive the strangers away using muskets. The Spanish shot and killed a number of them. The two groups eventually made peace by exchanging gifts. Okay, so the first time he came, they ran him away, and then he came back with more people. This trade continued along the coast until Columbus eventually reached Montego Bay. The bay was so peaceful and sheltered that he named the place El Golfo de Bien Tiempo. Yeah, why? This is answering all my questions for me, but it's not answering all the questions because some of this information is falsified or it's not put in full extent. So let's read. Why did the Spanish come to Jamaica? The Spanish, led by this MM, were seeking a shorter route to Asia and its trade. However, what the expeditions found was far different from what they expected. I'm a bit confused because if the Spanish was led by Christopher Columbus, but they are saying that there was Spanish already there. After the coming of, I don't know. I'm trying to make sense of this. The Spanish, led by Christopher Columbus, were seeking a shorter route to Asia and its trade. However, what their expeditions found was far different from what they expected. An entire continent peopled by innumerable cultures and old civilizations, a whole network of islands and peoples. The Spanish also found huge amounts of gold and silver in some lands. The voyages of Colombo were to have immense consequences for the entire world. The peoples of the Americas encountered the strange new people of Europe who brought with them devastating and often fatal changes to their lives. Columbus also personally began the process of Spanish colonization in Jamaica, which foreshadowed the general colonization of the Americas. Okay, his son Diego. Diego is a Spanish name. Was the first Spaniard to colonize Jamaica, beginning with the foundation of the new town of Civilla La Nueva in 1509. Oh wow. Lacking gold and exotic produce, Jamaica became the first agricultural colony established by the Spanish in the Americas, supplying the conquistadors on the mainland and other islands with leather, horses, meat, land, and cassava bread. The Spanish began to settle in Montego Bay after 1510 in the area of Fort Montego, and it was used for the shipping of leather, beef, and lard. You know what? It's good to have some kind of information. What is the Spanish legacy? The Spanish may have lost control of the island in 1655, but they left a strong imprint on life in Jamaica today. With the Spanish arrival, the animals and plants of Jamaica changed considerably. They transformed the island's agricultural landscape through the introduction of new crops and livestock. The Spanish introduced almost all of the most common animals in Jamaica today, including pigs, horses, sheep, cattle, goats, dogs, cats, rats, and mice, as well as chickens. The Spanish brought crops from the Mediterranean, including tamarind, sweet oranges, lemons, limes, sugarcane, plantains, banana, ginger, indigo, avocado, and chocho. So, if all these things came from the Spanish, why do they not have all these things in Spain growing? Why was they not importing the sugarcane from Spain to Canary Wharf? I don't know. The Spanish used simple water-driven mills to crush the cane and extract the sugar juice. The Spanish also had a huge impact on the people of Jamaica. The period of control saw the decimation of the Tano people, those that remained fled to the hills. So Tanos are Jamaicans, and most of the Jamaicans died or fled. The Spanish were the first to enslave and forcefully relocate enslaved Africans to Jamaica in the 16th century. And why do people say that Jamaicans come from Africa if the Africans are being brought to Jamaica? Why do we say things like this? At least as early as 1523, some 300 enslaved Africans had been brought to Jamaica, and soon after 700 more. They were made to work as herders and skilled workers involved in fortification, the manufacture of sugar, the cleaning of forests, tanning leather, and serving as soldiers in the defense of Jamaica. Did you know the Spanish were the first to bring Christianity to Jamaica, which remains the dominant religion? People still use the building method known as Spanish wall, which uses a timber frame, blocks of limestone and mortar. The Spanish also contributed to Jamaican cuisine by bringing the method of escovitching fish. So the Spanish brought Christianity to Jamaica, and they say it was like the Europeans. They are Europeans, but like, so it was the Spanish who used Christianity. I don't know. Here we have some models of the first Spanish ships to make land in Montego Bay. I think this is a kind of cool replica, even though I don't like what they did. But I guess they did what they had to do. Ugh, man. Look, we have an ancient machete. They still use these today, so I'm pretty sure I saw one yesterday. Alright, sugar. I have made my employees 20, 30 or 40 more hogshead per year than any of my preceders ever did. And now I have killed 30 or 40 Negroes per year. More, yet the produce had been more than adequate to that. Well, what? This is from a plantation overseer. What? The Spanish had originally brought sugarcane to Jamaica, but the island's plantation economy was greatly developed by the British in the 18th century to become one of the contributors to its growing Europe. Yes, because they built England from Jamaica. Based on the labor of enslaved Africans, the vast profits from the sugar estates produced the wealth families that drove the Industrial Revolution. The sugar aristocracy of St. James itself included families such as the Barnetts of Cinnamon Hill, the Lawrences of Ronengot, and the Irvings of Ironshaw. Some of the wealth that many planters made from sugar supported the construction of fine brick buildings in Montego Bay, such as St. James Parish Church. Obviously, it's a church. The planters were entertained at the Montego Bay Theatre from as early as 1776. There were performances of various English classics such as King Lear, Romeo and Juliet. Wow. Africans in Jamaica. We're all learning something today. Today is Learning Day. The lavish lifestyle enjoyed by colonists such as Barnetts was underpinned by an industry that was to shape the development of the modern world. The trade and exploitation of enslaved Africans, labor extracted from forcibly transported African captives, was used extensively to work on sugar plantations in Jamaica and throughout the Caribbean. The trade lasted for over 350 years. The money generated from the enforced labor was to help fund the Industrial Revolution in Britain. Who were the Africans in Jamaica during the English period? Africans had been in Jamaica since the first voyages of Christopher Columbus and the Spanish invasion. They had played an essential role in the life and development of Spanish-controlled Jamaica. When the English invaded Jamaica in 1655, many of the enslaved Africans fought as allies of the Spanish, who in return gave them their freedom. You what, mate? Okay, the English invaded Jamaica And the Africans fought as allies of the Spanish, and this is how they apparently got their freedom, or they took their own freedom. They became known as Maroons. You will have heard of the Maroons and Nani, probably from the Spanish Cimarron, meaning wild or untamed. Where do these people get these words from? These Africans went to the mountains and were fiercely determined to maintain their freedom over the centuries to come. Okay, following the complete conquest of Jamaica by the English in 1660, Jamaica was rapidly developed by the colonists into a sugar-producing island with enslaved African captivities doing most of the labor. This economy involved the forced importation of millions of enslaved Africans. It is estimated that 14 to 20 million men and women endured the infamous Middle Passage beginning from West Africa to the Americas. We've got some maps here. I'm going to share my opinion on this because, okay. So what you're telling me is the Jamaicans are dead. Because if they're the Tanois or the Arawaks and they went extinct, and then the Africans went to the wild, the enslaved Africans went to the mountains to maintain their freedom. So what happened to the others? What happened to the people that wasn't enslaved? I don't know. All this, I don't know, because I don't know, there's been topics and think pieces, and you're not fitting that much people in there to bring over for a long time and them to be able to even work. So I just don't get how that works. I don't even think that there was that much water in those days. But okay. What are the origins of the enslaved peoples of Jamaica? The ancestors of the majority of Jamaicans come from all across Africa. Some historians claim that most came from present-day Ghana, Togo, Benin, and Nigeria in West Africa. These were the lands of Akan, Igbo, Ibibio, Mandingo, and Yoruba peoples, amongst others. Some came from East Africa. Other ethnic groups that came to Jamaica included the Ad-Jafan, Angolian, Fanti, Limba, Dongo. Between the years 1837 1867, about 11,000 more Africans came to Jamaica. So, if all these people came from Africa, how is there still so much people? These are the questions that I have in my mind. And yeah, okay, we're reading to be a bit more informed, but I'm not taking everything at face value because they can just throw in some words. You know what I mean? Like, come on. The English invaded Jamaica in 1655 after their failed attempt to capture Hispaniola, modern-day Dominican Republic, and Haiti. The English forces had been afraid to return home. At that time, Jamaica was a poorly populated and little defended part of the Spanish Caribbean Empire. Between 1655 and 1660, the English and the Spanish fought for control of Jamaica. The war for Jamaica was to have huge implications for Jamaican, Caribbean, African, and world history. Ultimately, the English won the war, but they didn't win it. And the Jamaica was to become the jewel in the crown of the future British Empire. In the years following the conquest, civil and political systems similar to those in English were established in Jamaica that divided the island into parishes. The main power base of the English was on the south coast around Kingston Harbour. They slowly assumed control of the north coast. The parish of St. James was among the second group of parishes founded under British rule in 1671. Damn. Early efforts to invite people to the island were intended to increase the white population. Wait. Okay, hold on. Let's be serious. Early efforts to invite people to the island were intended to increase the white population rather than to encourage vacation visits. They was trying to migrate the whites to go to Jamaica to populate. Oh wow. Oh wow, okay. Early efforts to invite people to the island were intended to increase the white population rather than to encourage vacation visits. Beggars, those unhappy and degraded individuals who swarm in all European countries here, because you that was the slums, mate, are happily unknown to the poor man indeed, who in his native land finds a difficulty in acquiring the necessaries and little comforts of life. This is the best country in the world. Here, industry not only procures the necessities, but the conveniences and even the luxuries of life. Turn your attention then your industrious individuals who are forced to leave your native halls to this happy island. Here you will find a welcome and happy and secure asylum. I'm just like, am I really reading this? Okay, Maroons of Jamaica. Phones in the side. You know what? You don't want to let me zoom out, man. Okay. During the Spanish occupation of Jamaica, escaped Tano known as the Maroons settled the island's hinterland. They were our first Maroons and were joined by escaped Africans who became the majority and thorns in the side of the colonizers. They fought with the Spanish when the English landed, but turned on them with the promise of freedom by the English. Oh, Maroon numbers swelled as Africans arrived in the islands and did their enclaves, Kojo Town, Trelawny Town, and a compound town in the cockpit country, Nanny Town, Charlestown, Crawford Town, Moortown, and Scotsall in the Blue Mountains. Our Maroon forebears lived by cultivating and hunting, by raiding plantations and secretively trading goods in the markets. For years they thrived and developed a distinctive culture based on African beliefs, skills and an understanding of the land. They better English militias and emboldened their captive kin or sugar escapes to flee and join them, greatly stalling the island's development. In 1728, a new British governor with more troops arrived, intent on dislodging the Maroon threat. Okay, so they had two wars. Among its clauses, the Pack Treaty signed in 1739 by culture recognized Maroon independence and conceded to them 1,500 acres of land. Wow. They in turn agreed to capture runaway slaves to help put down revolts, defend the colony, and to have a white superintendent reside among them. So there was a second war, 1795, for a year. Innovation resulted in an 8-month standoff. The Pond River Treaty gave Kojo Town Maroons only 3 days to the 1st of January to come forward. They were suspicious of Governor Alcott's intentions. Most did not surrender until mid-March. Wow, look how different Trelawny Town is. By By the late 1700s, the region's hopkers had given way to sugar. St. James was a thriving parish, a flourishing sugar industry, and an increase in commerce saw the harbour becoming a busy port. The port was reconstructed to accommodate the ever-increasing trade in sugar, rum, tropical woods, as well as the enslaved Africans who drove the economy. In 1796, Montego Bay, the capital of the parish, received its first privileges under city statement. However, there were strong tensions between the English settlers and the Maroons of the nearby cockpit country. Why is there no space in that punctuation? This led to the Second Maroon War that lasted from 1795 to 1796. The conflict itself was sparked by the public flogging in Montego Bay of several Trelawney Town Maroons by the local militia. The Maroons saw this as a deliberate act in breach of the treaty with the British. Why do we keep saying militia? Why can't we just say police, please? Okay, here, the Emancipation War. The transatlantic trade in enslaved Africans was apparently abolished throughout the British Empire in 1807. Effective January 1, 1808, slavery in Jamaica, however, did not cease to exist. Only the trade in humans was abolished. Plantation life in Jamaica, such as at Rose Hall, Montpelier, and Trial, continued unabated. By the 1800s, the enslaved workers were impatient and angry, and rumors circulated that they had already been freed by the king, but the local authorities were concealing it. In 1824, there was a rebellion in Hanover, followed in 1831 by a more widespread uprising in the country of Cornwall. It became known as Christmas Rebellion or Emancipation War or British War. So it did not cease to exist. Okay, so here is Sam Sharp, not Samuel Sharp, the Jamaican national hero. This was to be Jamaica's biggest war against enslavement. It broke out immediately after Christmas 1831 and lasted for 10 days. About 50,000 enslaved workers took part. They attacked over 225 estates. Sam Sharp was the most prominent leader of the activists. Sharp was a deacon at the Birchall Baptist Church in Montego Bay. Sam was well educated and spent most of his time traveling to different parishes in Jamaica, educated enslaved workers about Christianity and freedom. This is what they call the overseers. Though, like I said outside, the people who are given the good education are used to keep our people oppressed. I don't know how I feel about it. After almost 250 years of rebellion and resistance, full freedom from slavery was finally achieved. No, but yeah, I don't really know how to feel about this whole thing. The fact that his name is his master's name. This is a man who is an overseer. Maybe he just had to do what he had to do at the time. But I was just trying to figure out, like, you know, what's his thesis? I don't know how I'm feeling about this. Freedom at last. Oh, freedom. The emerging society after 1833 A new society was to emerge. In the years following 1838, the freed labourers left their estates. Many established what were known as free villages with the support of missionary societies. They also developed a commercial life independent of the plantation system, becoming merchants, artisans, higglers, and small farmers. Many sold their produce at markets such as the Albert Market, which was located at the back of the courthouse in Charles Square, and plied their trades in the new wage economy. Montego Bay at this time assumed even more importance as St. James' chief commercial centre was, with numerous shops and warehouses. Many melanated people moved to the country from the rural areas. Wow. King Banana. With the decline of sugar, bananas, once considered poor man's food, gained economic importance. Planters began to convert their sugar estates to banana production. The increase in banana stimulated development in many different districts. This dynamic new export resulted in the town of Cambridge rising to claim the second place in commercial importance. Banana industry. Tourism. Eventually, the banana industry led to St. James and its capital, Montego Bay, evolving from being a primary agricultural and commercial community to becoming a hub for tourism. Railroad transportation began in Jamaica in 1845. The first locomotive service outside Europe and North America, the privately owned 14-mile line between Kingston and Angels, just north of Spanish Town, introduced a faster and more reliable method. Wow. So Montego, Anchovy, Montpellier, Cambridge, Catalogue, Stonehenge, Ipswich, Appleton, Balaclava, Greenville, Candle, Clarendon. Is this the way people's going? U.S. Air Base. U.S. Naval. Just all up in the ting, man. They need to fuck off. And that's a break. So all this north coast was not used, and this east coast was not used. Wow. Port Antonio. Oh wow. Okay, that's interesting. Railway line, maintenance cart replica. These are replicas, but yeah, this is where you're mashing the food in. How interesting is that? This is the iron. Okay, now. Wait, are these? Mortar. So that's the mortar. Yeah. Why is it so humongous? Piece of paradise. Okay, so now that we know Jamaica is like touristy, I still don't think this is a good thing for it, because the money is not going to the locals. It's going to the people who regulated this whole situation here. So I don't know, but I think there is more to come out of this piece of paradise, and we would still discuss that. The early tourism was often based around health as opposed to sunbathing or music, and an important part of the Montego Bay story was the discovery of curing abilities of the water of Doctor's Cave Beach, initially owned by Dr. Alexander. Yeah, I wanted to go to this beach, but then I was thinking, why is Doctor's Cave Beach water healing and the other water is not healing? So I thought, okay, all water is healing, but okay, it's good to know that the right people was coming for health reasons, because there is a lot of healing produce in this place. But yeah, I'm glad to know that these early visitors, he said the waters could cure several ailments. Oh. A number of hotels were built in the immediate vicinity. The cave, however, was destroyed by a hurricane. Oh. It's because... no comment. Okay. Yeah, because they have lots of different herbs as well, tonics. We're gonna get into this. I brought a tonic right outside the place. Greetings from Jamaica. What we have here, MV Jamaica producer itself had a colourful life. At 5,454 tons, she was launched in Glasgow. She became the more noticed banana boats. Why are they calling these banana boats? Oh, okay, this is like people bringing the banana on the boat. Okay, we have the famous Ludi board game. I'm interested to find out the origin of this. Ludi. Like dominoes, Ludi is a favorite pastime played throughout the island. Jamaican boards tend to be large, durable, colorfully designed, and sometimes given cultural themes. In Jamaica, the game is often a serious business and very noisy. Wow. Ludi boards are a standard feature in bars, shops, or anywhere that friends congregate to drink, relax, and talk politics. Around this setting, Ludi also becomes a way to put a little extra money in the pocket. I love Ludi, and it's got how to play on here. But really, you start here from your home. This is your home. You start here, you roll, you go around, and then you have to come back, and you can roll an amount to get in here, and you've got to get your pieces back before someone sends you back, and all of this. I'm gonna actually go and try and play it today. Let's see. We're coming full circle. Let's go play some Ludi or some pool. Oh wow. Vintage labeled beverage bottles. This is how the bottles look. White. Overproof. Oh wow. Oh fuck. I'm glad that I came to check this out, man. We have looked at the time of the tannoy, the encounter with Columbus and the Spanish, the production of lard, the rise of sugar and the plantation system, the horrors of slavery, the war and the fight for freedom, the rise of the banana industry and the development of the island's tourist industry. Many things have happened here. Yes, they have, and many things will continue to happen. Great things. I know it will. In God's name, it's Jamaica. An island so small, run so big. How is it so? God bless. I mean, God continue to make this place prosper and really elevate to the next level. Yeah, I think it's worth going in there to just have a look, find out some things. Not every day, joke. I've had a bit of a joke in there. It's good to learn things, inform ourselves. I'm a bit skeptical of the narrative still, because if they wanted us to know who we really were and the true history of us, our ancestors, the land, the world itself, then they wouldn't have burnt all those historical textbooks that they had, or that the families had written and passed down to us. So there's things like that I'm skeptical about, you know what I mean? Well, I went in there to learn about Sam anyway. I'm skeptical about him because his name, he was an overseer, all these things, like, I just don't know. But yeah, I'm going to continue to read things myself, speak with people about the history. They also have a section in there to do with Rastafarians, Ethiopia, Haile Selassie, the 12 tribes. Very informative. I put some pictures or footage, but you can't really do too much in there. So there's that, and I will look at that in the next time. But yeah, I always think these things are cool to do because you can never know enough, and you can always have some more insight so that you can have these informative conversations that need to be had, really, at the end of the day, without argument. So it was nice. I want to know about the history between Haiti and Jamaica, though I still think it was the same. But anyway, yeah, take your time to come to Jamaica and find out. And always question things too. You don't always just believe it just because it was read out there. Like, I don't believe everything that was read out there, but that's up to you. But anyway, take care. We're gonna enjoy the beautiful weather today.